Guys are living in dorms right now. Alright, well, this will kind of apply to you. It's no secret to students that co-ed dorms are more fun. So a lot of people don't realize that they fuel very unhealthy behavior. Co-ed dorms propose substantial dangers for college students. 90% of college dorms now in the United States are co-ed. College housing offices generally assume that students prefer co-ed housing and give them the option to opt out if single-gender housing is available. Very few students exercise that option, though. Co-ed dorming causes many risks involving sexual harassment and abuse. The National Victim Center states that one out of 4 women will be sexually assaulted on a college campus, and 1 out of 8 women will be raped while in college. Separate gender housing could eliminate the potential danger, whereas having 2 sexes in the same element produces these risks. According to the research report by an American Association of University Women, nearly 2/3 of 2,000 college students surveyed said they had been subjected to sexual harassment while at their college campus. Most students experience non-contact forms of harassment, such as crude jokes, remarks, and gestures, but nearly 1/3 said that the harassment involved physical contact. The U.S. Equal Opportunity Commission states that sexual harassment is defined as unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. When it happens in a dorm, it can be especially traumatic, leaving those subjected to it feeling unsafe and excluded in their own home. Such harassment can put a damper on college experiences and their grade performance. Female students are more likely to feel embarrassed, angry, less confident, and afraid. They're also more likely to take measures to avoid their harassers and find it hard to study or pay attention in class, says the National Organization for Women. Sexual harassment, including vulgarity, insensitivity, or pranking, present other stressors when living in co-ed dorms. Many sources, such as pop culture, media, social networking, promote this harassment. Pop culture makes billions of dollars each year by exploiting women's sexuality. Most music videos or images show vivid pornography and free sex under the skies of the arts. Shaking the butts, exposing, revealing of body parts, sexual activities, etc. are repeated over and over again, so often that they have become acceptable images among society. Women were exploited willingly without protest, and it became a vicious cycle that has no end. It conveys the message that to do what those images portray is cool, and ultimately embedding into the male mind an unrealistic portrayal of women, leading to disrespect and excess pressure on women, as well as temptation for men. There are also a lot of websites and designated to pranking in dorms. Like if you just type in a Google search dorm pranking, there's I think 16 at least websites that'll pop up specifically to show you pranks you can pull on people in your dorms. And also, how many of you guys have heard from Text from Last Night? Because it's a website that kind of shows antics, like those texts you shouldn't have sent last night while you were drunk. So it gives it implies that these behaviors are acceptable among society, and anyway. A life science study found that university students in co-ed housing are 2.5 times more likely to binge drink every week. No surprise that they're also likely to have more sexual partners. The study also found pornography use was higher among students in co-ed dorms. 42% of students in co-ed housing reported binge drinking on a weekly basis, whereas 18% of students in gender-specific housing reported binge drinking weekly. To kind of wrap up the claim that co-ed housing proposes substantial dangers for college students, I have the following numbers. For students living in gender-specific housing, 63.2% had no sexual partners in the past year. 4.9% had 3 or more sexual partners in the last year. 26.5% agreed that it's all right for 2 people to get together for sex and not necessarily expect anything else out of it. 26.5% consumed alcohol weekly. 17.6% engage in binge drinking weekly. And for students who do live in co-ed housing, 44.3% had no sexual partners in the last year, so that's less than half of them. 12.6% had 3 or more sexual partners in the last year. 44.1% agreed that it's all right for two people to get together for sex and not expect anything else out of it. It's 56.4, which is double the amount of gender-specific housing. So 56.4% consumed alcohol weekly, 41.5% engaged in binge drinking weekly, and that's more than double of the gender-specific housing. Oh, and that was provided by the North Carolina Family Policy Council.
All right, you state the claim, but the phrasing is a little bit awkward. It proposes dangers for college students. I'm not exactly sure what that means. It suggests, it creates, it encourages, it promotes, it proposes is probably the wrong word to be using there. There's no layout of what the content of the speech is going to be. We know generally what the subject matter is. You do a nice job kind of explaining some of the differences. The biggest issue that I had was in the first part of the speech. There are just a lot of assumptions, for instance, about sexual assaults and harassment and all those kinds of things, none of which are connected to the dorms. There's just stuff about living on campus and the frequency with which these things occur, and I didn't hear anything that connected it to the dorm life. The place where you finally get a connection to all of that is in the last section when you've got the information that relates it to consumption of alcohol, and you suggest that co-ed dorms, the amount of alcohol consumed is substantially higher. There's twice as much binge drinking, which probably is a big explanation about the source of those problems. And I thought that actually does connect to the point that you were making here. The source on that needed to be presented a little bit earlier, and you need to qualify it a bit more. There's this one long quote about attitudes and authority, and it comes from Now, and I'm not sure where the Now quote started, because if it started as early as I think it could have, then it covers a lot of the issues that you're talking about. But it might have only been attributing to the last sentence that you said when you gave the attribution, and that means that the evidence is not nearly as persuasive as you were suggesting earlier. So that's one of those places where citing the evidence and using a pre-citation before you give the quote would clarify that quite a bit. There's a lot of reading in the presentation. At first I thought the generalization is going to be a little bit problematic. Like I said, I think you get a lot stronger toward the end because you do have some statistics that are connecting it to the dorm life or to the co-ed dorms. Although I would like to have a little bit more data about those statistics. For instance, if 90% of college dorms have this, can we compare it to the time when 90% of the college dorms didn't have it and see what the difference is? That seems like it would be a natural comparison that would give you the results that you're really looking for here. All right, thank you.